Welcome, everyone, back to another edition of the NoDQ Review, number 71. And I am Virtue, being joined by Aaron Rift, Robbie Weiss, and Big G. Now, before you start spamming the comments saying, Virtue, you're a nerd, you're wearing sunglasses, I had my pupils dilated today. Just be thankful I'm not wearing the glasses they gave me to wear, okay? So anyway, how's everyone doing? Big G, I'll start with you.
I'm doing good. Literally just got home from work about 5 minutes ago, and I am ready to discuss some interesting topics with you guys today. Robbie, how you doing, brother?
Every day is a great day. We had NXT on Wednesday, which was great. We had SmackDown, which was a show, and we had Raw that aired on TV. So I think we have a lot of things to talk about today.
Aaron Rift.
Yeah, next week is when everything changes. The wrestling world gets turned upside down, but we have the final week of where everything is in the normal pattern. We had SmackDown on Tuesday. We had NXT last night. Lots to talk about in Virtue. By any chance, do you have Elton John sunglasses?
No. Oh, those wouldn't work anyway because those are like rose-colored or blue-tinted or yellow, and they're not dark enough. My eyes would be killing me.
Oh, wow.
Sorry. No John Lennon ones either. Anyway, because I know you're a big Beatles fan. Let's get going here. You know what I want to talk about first, obviously? How do you guys feel about the 2 weeks of NXT on USA where we got an hour and an hour? Specifically, the USA portions of those. Do you obviously they set up for when they're head-to-head against AEW. Big G, am I correct on this? Are the two title matches now for NXT going to be Matt Riddle challenging Adam Cole for the NXT Championship and Candice LeRae challenging Shayna Baszler?
You have three titles.
What's the third one?
Street Profits are getting the rematch against the Undisputed Era for the NXT Tag Team titles.
So good. I'll start with you. What's your thoughts of those 2 weeks on USA? And was it just a slight tease? Is it going to be even more entertaining? You know what I mean? Like, especially when they are up against the competition.
Well, I enjoyed the first 2 hours on USA, and they both drew over 1 million viewers. I think this week was a little bit lower than last week. I think they're getting ready to go to war with AEW, so they're pulling out all the guns for next week, especially next week with the 3 championship matches. And if I'm not mistaken, AEW is having their women's title match, correct? So, you know, NXT's been around for a good couple years now, but this is their first time going live head-to-head with another company. And I think AEW, with all the hype and all its glory, is going to take a while to catch up to NXT and its ratings. So, hopefully both companies do good. You know, like I said previously, I'll be watching NXT live and, you know, watching AEW on, you know, after it's recording. So I hope it does good.
Well, I know you're a big NXT fan, yes. So I know you're extra excited for this. Now, tell me, Big G, yes, when this happens, are you going to be recording AEW and watching it later?
Yes.
Or because Noah's going to be simulcasting, watching them both at the same time. I'm just going to be flipping.
I'm going to be watching NXT first, like I said, live, and then after NXT is over with, I'll jump onto my recordings to watch AEW. So I'll be caught up.
Rob, how are you going to do this? And then you can speak your mind on the matter.
So, I mean, my normal thing that I'm going to be doing going forward is going to be most likely watching NXT live and then watching AEW back later. I think I'll probably watch maybe the first 30 minutes of AEW this coming Wednesday just to see how they start the show. But I'm probably going to watch NXT and then watch the rest of it back later. I know it's the big thumbs down that people give me for my opinion on this. I don't think AEW is ready to compete with NXT. I just don't think they're on the same production level. And I think the main event scene in AEW might be very competitive, but you know, these guys are coming out there calling it a developmental brand. So I hope they have a thick skin and they do well when they lose against a developmental brand.
That's a good point. Like, and isn't it crazy? Like, isn't part of AEW with some of the indie guys if they've signed? I won't mention any names. I mean, you can say that's developmental, right?
I would
not
say
everybody
Dark Order in that.
Japan. Yeah,
I would say Dark Order on NXT would be the worst tag team in the division.
But I know it's in gimmick. Kenny Omega is making him and his product look better.
Yeah.
We get it. We get it.
That Kenny Omega stuff, people are freaking out about that. I think that's good. That's a good thing. It drives competition. It's what his base wants to hear. It's making people excited. The elite being the elite. I don't think that's a negative part of AEW. You got the elite, you got Jericho. It's just their women's division is lacking, and I think some of their undercard stuff is going to take a little while to build these guys up. I'm not saying they won't be that down the road. I just say as it stands right this second, I think NXT will be a better product outside of maybe the main event scenes, which will probably be pretty equal.
Gotcha. Now, Aaron, I want to come to you on this because guess what? They have Moxley. I hope he's available for TV, even though he can't. This is where I'm going to pay close attention to AEW, how they utilize a guy that can't work. We know WWE's done a fantastic job with the Fiend character. You keep pointing out he only has wrestled on TV Finn Balor, and yet he's the hottest thing in WWE. But what's your take on these 2 hours that have been on USA for NXT leading into the first week of full competition?
Okay, well, first of all, regarding Jon Moxley, I believe he's going to be cleared in time for the AEW debut. So I would not be surprised if he does something physical and he does some kind of angle. And like I said before, I expect the viewership to be very close between these two shows, within like 100,000 viewers. I think NXT, I expected it to drop this week, and next week I expect it to drop again. I think AEW will take a chunk of NXT's audience, and like I've mentioned before, I plan on watching AEW live just because it's the A show for AEW, and NXT, regardless of how good it is, it's still the C brand. I did enjoy the shows, but at the same time, I feel like it just did not go past what it normally is as far as catering to a wider audience. It still feels like a niche product, as you might say, Virtue, especially that second hour. And maybe next week they'll turn things up. We'll get more entertainment, sports entertainment, more storylines, more controversy. But yeah, the first 2 weeks I felt they went pretty safe with what they presented on television, and it was pretty straightforward. Not that it was bad or anything. I enjoyed it, but I didn't feel like there was a whole lot that was going to draw in new viewers. And I think the fact that the second week dropped from the first would back up that claim. Virtue, what did you think about it?
So I like each hour, each week, because on USA, because I think even though storyline, character-wise, all the nuances you and I really like about sports entertainment really wasn't presented because it is NXT. I like how they showcase their main event. They established the Undisputed Era as they're all the champions, the top heels, the big faction like they should be. Something for a year I've been saying, right, Big G? Yeah. They established Velveteen Dream, even though he lost. Now you're thinking, wow, this guy's a star. He had an elaborate entrance. He milked that entrance on USA. And, of course, Matt Riddle now is a number one contender, right? All of a sudden now they're going to USA competing against AEW. And remember, Big G and Rob, I said Matt Riddle could face Brock Lesnar one day at WrestleMania. Well, you got to start letting handcuffs off these guys. And he's in NXT. He better start getting big matches. So I enjoy how they showcase their main eventers going forward and building it to these big matches against AEW. But we'll see, right? NXT right now, it's all about wrestling. It's all about ooh and ah, NXT. We'll see how AEW handles creativity. So that's what I'm going to be watching for. But I have to give the advantage right now to NXT ratings-wise just because they've established it. They said, hey, we can draw 1 million 2 weeks in a row live. AEW's unproven on television, so we have to stay tuned. I'm going to be very interested to see what the ratings are head-to-head. I mean, I cannot wait for that number. It's like waking up to Christmas to open a package. I really want to see those numbers.
Yeah, so, I mean,
anyway, you know what I mean, Aaron?
Best case scenario is both of them do over 1 million, but I feel like AEW is going to cut into NXT's audience, and one's going to do 700,000, the other's going to do 800,000. It's just a matter of which one.
I'm going to call NXT beating them, though. I don't know exactly what the numbers are going to be, but NXT is going to do at least 100,000 more. But we'll see. I could be wrong. I don't care. It's a guessing game right now. But let's move on. Who just got signed, Big G, by WWE?
They're returning John Morrison.
So, he was a mid-carder. We all know the slow motion entrance, right? He had that great tag team with The Miz early on.
Yeah.
What do you think about this? Is this just extra bodies because they're doing the brand split, because they're having SmackDown and Raw and NXT. Like, what's your take on this whole John Morrison thing coming back? I felt like when he left before, it was like, I don't want to work in this environment anymore. I want to go be my own thing, and he's back.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he left in 2011, and he was with Lucha Underground and Impact, and he was up in the main event there. You're a big fish in a small pond. Now you're coming back to being a small fish in a big pond, or whatever the phrase is. Anyways, I think he's just going to be stuck in the mid card again. Feuding for the IC title and United States title. Heck, they put Kofi in the main event. Why not put John Morrison up there? I think he's talented enough. He's been in the business for a while now. Heck, put him down in NXT. He'll have great feuds down there too with Adam Cole and Velveteen. There you go, John Morrison versus Velveteen Dream. There you go. That's all I have to say.
Interesting, and you know what? I won't say that's a bad idea. Aaron, what do you think? You've been around doing this for a long time, so you've seen wrestlers come and go. So what do you think about this one?
I'm not surprised that he's back. I figured he would be back eventually, and that was one of the questions that I've gotten asked the most over the years, like, when is John Morrison coming back? And I was always like, whenever he wants to, but I always thought that he would come back. I think he left in the first place because he was burned out and he just wanted to work on a smaller scale. And now he's in a really good position because you have AEW, you have WWE paying out big contracts to people, and he's 39 years old. Maybe him and his wife had a talk, and they're like, you know what? Got to go for it. 39 years old, have one more good run in WWE, make those big bucks. And because he's been gone for so long, he has a whole new cast of people he can go up against. And you got people in NXT, you got people in SmackDown. You can bring them back, and you can reunite Miz and Morrison. Miz is treading water right now. That would give something fresh for him to do. I just see a lot of new opportunities for Morrison in WWE, all these dream matches he can do. I think it's absolutely the right move for him, and I think the timing is perfect for it. Robbie, what do you think?
Go ahead.
I think the best thing to do is put him in NXT. This guy, in my opinion, and I don't know if a lot of people disagree with me. If you do, just post right down there in the comments. But I think he's one of the better wrestlers around. I think he's a great character, and I think he would be a phenomenal veteran guy to have in your NXT locker room. I think there's a lot of things that he could teach the guys, and I think it's going to be a little bit of a smaller scale thing, which is kind of what he apparently was looking for when he left to begin with. Look, he's going to get paid no matter what because they do not want him going to AEW. So I'm assuming his contract looks great, okay? But I think putting him down in NXT to feud with some of these guys, like you said, the Velveteen Dream, Johnny Wrestling versus Johnny Wrestling. I mean, there's just so many things that they could do with that. And having him in a role where he can mentor some of the younger guys and just they can take that experience, I think that's the best place for him personally and him professionally. And it has to be NXT. And what better way to go against AEW than to have someone like that front and center on your NXTs on Wednesday nights? I think it's a no-brainer.
That's a good point. Big G, what did you have to say?
I was going to say, if he didn't go to NXT, do you think they would wait to the draft to put him on a show?
I think SmackDown. I think the whole slow motion entrance that he has, they're going to bring it back. The way he looks and dresses, no doubt in my mind, that's a Fox piece right there. But we'll have to see. Yep. I mean, all these are interesting points. He could really go anywhere. And I never, I liked him. I liked him and the Miz's chemistry, too, back in the day. Is Melina still working in the business? That'd be another interesting get, just to have some nostalgia pop.
I have no idea.
Yeah. We'll see. I don't know. Possibilities. We'll see. Johnny Mundo, Johnny Nitro, Johnny Wrestling.
Johnny Impact.
Johnny Morrison. Johnny anything. That'd be interesting, too, Johnny versus Johnny. There's a feud for you for TakeOver. So good idea, Rob. All right, let's move on. I want to talk a little bit about Stone Cold now, and we're going to talk about him later. But Stone Cold has really been just, he has a show on USA Network. He's been on Raw a couple of times. And so he's fresh on my mind weekly. Always kind of has been. But now the rumors of another match because he said it. Now, we know how wrestlers are, right? He might not have any plans at all to ever do a match again. The neck, he's older now, still in great shape, but he's making tons of money, doesn't need to work. So maybe he's just working fans by saying that. But let's propose if it was an actual possibility, okay? say it's a very good possibility knowing how WWE operates, and we know how much money they get when they're in a certain country. Is this leading? This is really the point to this. If Austin does come back, I believe it should be a WrestleMania moment, right? Some people on other websites said the biggest dream match left is Austin versus Cena. I'm not going to disagree with that. But Saudi Arabia, we know there's other shows they got to do there, and they want that money. Could they be asking for Austin? And think about it. Austin gets a couple $1 million to go work a 10-minute match and hit a stunner. Aaron, what do you think with this? Is this just like fodder, just working the fans, or is this a possibility?
I think he just said it to throw it out there, telling people, hey, yeah, I could do a match. And I think there's always a possibility he could do one more match. I think it's similar to Edge, where Edge could probably do it, but I think Edge's situation is a little bit worse. I think Austin could do a match where he would go out there and he could throw on the black trunks and the vest and not take any back bumps, and he could just do a quick 5-minute match. With the Saudi Arabia money, I could always see it as a possibility. If the money's right, Austin could come back for one more match. So we'll have to wait and see. I would think that Saudi Arabia would absolutely try to make a play for him, but Shawn Michaels came back when we all thought he was never going to wrestle again. And I would say anything's possible with Austin. Never say never.
Robbie, I laugh at this possibility. Even if it was like Aaron suggested and he does like a 6-7 minute match, at the end of one of those Saudi shows, Austin is doing his thing with the beer. Like, I see it. Like, because we've seen Shawn come back, Undertaker and Goldberg. I mean, they don't care. It really comes down to the wrestler wanting to do it, but you know how money is. It's hard to turn down some 7 figures. What do you think?
He could buy a lot of Steve Weisers with that kind of money from the Saudis. I don't know. Part of me thinks that he has a new show on USA and he wants to get his name out there, the buzz out there, so people start watching his show to get more ratings so he can negotiate a better deal. But it's wrestling. Never say never. I think they offer him a boatload of cash, like Aaron and you said, for like a 5-minute match in Saudi Arabia, where all he's going to do is maybe do a Fez press, maybe, and then, throw him into the ropes for a stunner and then flip everybody off and drink beer for like $2-3 million. I don't think he says no to that. It just depends on who does he have this match with. But at the same time, who cares? We would get to see Austin. We could get this. Hopefully, they would pop for him. That's why I wish it would happen in the United States, because the pop of him doing a final WrestleMania match, I think, is going to be far bigger than the Saudis, where 90% of them probably have no idea who he is. But yeah. I don't know. I think for $2-3 million, I think Stone Cold Steve Austin would absolutely do a 5-minute match.
You still got it.
Right. Oh, yeah. Fight forever.
Big G.
For
Big G. Austin. Big G 316, man. What do you think?
You guys had good points, I would enjoy Austin coming back for one more match, throwing a couple stunners around. Maybe, a 5-minute match would be just perfect. He's in great shape. I could see him versus Cena. We could see him versus Goldberg possibly, because Goldberg is coming here and there. I'm fine with it.
Let's segue then. Because thinking of Austin in this scenario, say he doesn't have a match, but they want to tease it like he does. What better way? Like seriously, could you imagine him hyping up that he wants to return to the ring? But then they do an angle with the Fiend where finally, because think about it, that Raw in Madison Square Garden, did they have the Fiend come out and give the Austin the mandible claw? Nope, because they wanted Austin to go off the air drinking beer.
Yeah.
The Fiend is rolling through these people now. He even got a current guy and Strowman. Now, I don't know if they're going to continue to put those portraits in the Firefly Funhouse wall. I think they should, at least of the legends. I'd like him to add Strowman to there, but how are you going to play that off? Is Strowman going to take a month off? Or Ray, to me, is next on Monday. That's setting up for Ray to get the mandible claw. I like this thing, and I know we keep talking about it, but like Aaron suggested, The Fiend is the most interesting thing on WWE TV right now because he's barely working, yet we're talking about him. Yeah. It reminds me of Sting, right? We wanted to see eventually how that paid off with the Crow. Let's just hope WWE does a better job than Starrcade 97. So I'll start with you, Big G.
Okay.
The Fiend, right? I think Ray's next. Just got Strowman added. And we talked about this. I think they should go as far as to him. Could you imagine if he did that gimmick with the flashing lights, the mandible claw, to a guy like Austin or The Rock. I mean, I think we're getting close enough to SmackDown where some of these big names might be on the first episode or two. They got a big opportunity if they really are believing this Fiend and Bray Wyatt character to a huge top main eventer. Like, isn't it time for one of these big time, highest rated legends to finally pay it forward to a new star?
I think
we never get that. We never have Hogan Andre anymore. No. What do you think?
I'm loving the Fiend personally. The whole Firefly Funhouse with the portraits on the wall, with the X's over the eyes.
Imagine him having Austin or The Rock on there.
Not
both, but just one of these.
Out of Austin or The Rock, I think The Rock would do it more than Stone Cold. I don't know. That's just my gut feeling. I think Austin has got that. He still thinks he's the top guy. I don't know, but the Fiend.
Comments below.
Yeah, it took the Fiend 2 times to put down Strowman on Monday Night Raw.
That's trying to protect Braun because
and we'll see. Hopefully, they don't screw up with the Fiend. Do
you think Ray's getting it on Monday?
I think so. I think it'll be towards the end of the match though. Like Ray was about to hit the 619, and then as soon as he tries to hit him, the lights go out, and then that's where the Fiend pops out and attacks Ray.
Good points. Now, Aaron, some people were complaining about this Fiend thing. Now it's starting to get predictable. Is it a bad thing in this situation? What's your take on this?
Oh, no, I think it's great. I don't think he's cooled off at all. I know some people are saying they're already getting tired of it. I think it's been great, and I just want to see the body count continue. He's like a horror victim, or villain, I should say, and he's going after his victims one by one and taking them out and adding them to his wall of destruction. I really want to see Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair get it on Monday, but I think what Big G said is a more likely scenario since Rollins is fighting Mysterio. I could see Bray interfering and taking out Mysterio, but man, Hogan and Flair should get it. If not on Raw, Bray should show up on SmackDown on the last show before the draft and take out Hogan, Flair, or Austin, or one of those guys. I mean,
I forgot about Hogan and Flair, but good points.
Yeah, because again, the mandible claw, nobody has to take a bump. You could just have him shove his fingers down the guy's throat, and that's it. So, yeah, I want to see Bray take out more people. And, when Kane came in '97, he was doing that whole thing where he was laying out people for 6 months to a year, coming out there and destroying people. So Bray can do this for another 6 months.
I think Kane,
mileage.
That was just to get him to that WrestleMania match against The Undertaker. I mean, why not? That's a big, and that was before they did stadiums. They kind of went to arenas back then for WrestleMania. Rob.
I was going to say the same thing. It feels like they're booking him a lot like they booked the Crow version of Sting and when Kane debuted. I mean, how there would just be random matches on Raw and then the pyro would come up, which it actually is coming back, by the way. They said they're actually bringing back fireworks again, thank God. But his pyro would go off, his music would hit, and he would just come lay everybody out, and then he would leave. And it was great. And that's kind of what The Fiend's been doing. I don't know if The Rock would ever lay down for somebody else. I don't think Dwayne has the respect for the business that Austin does. I think Austin's more of an old... No, I'm not saying he doesn't have respect at all for the business. I was saying when you compare him to a guy like Austin, I think Austin's a lot more old school in the way of thought and wrestling than Dwayne Johnson, because Stone Cold still is wrestling. Dwayne Johnson's a Hollywood movie star.
I get what you're saying, Rob. It would be like Rock coming out just being in the ring with The Rock. Hey, here's the rub, but Rock still looks good instead of laying on his back.
Austin, I think would get more heat. I think he would get more heat. He would get more sympathy. I think Flair would be great. I think people would cheer if he did it to Hogan, which would be funny in its own right, because I think that guy deserves whatever heat he gets. But yeah, no, I think the Fiend's been booked great. I don't think predictability is a bad thing. I was always predicting that Sting would be up in the rafters at some point on Nitro, and that's what got me to tune in to Nitro over WWF back in the days, because I wanted to see Sting lower from the rafters, beat up somebody, and leave. And that's exactly what we get from The Fiend. I think it's a working formula, and I think they should keep doing it.
I mean, The Fiend could show up, twice on Raw, attacking Flair or Hogan, or both of them.
But we know why he attacked Strowman.
If he does Hogan, that's a great point that you bring that up. If he gets Hogan, then that they're 100% committing to The Fiend as a babyface.
Yeah.
Because Hogan can really use some humility, right? I think people want that. And Hogan's really never been that guy. And with the things he said that he should have never said, whether, he knew he was on camera or not, I think humility on Hogan would really make a lot of people not satisfied or not totally happy, but at least that it would be like, good. At least, you know what I mean? You did it.
I think he's apologized for that, and I think he's made some strides in that. And that's not what I'm referring to when I say he deserves it. I think he deserves it because he's never wanted to put anybody over.
He's been a big ego in the wrestling business.
That's what I'm saying. He's been one of the biggest backstage politicking guys in the history of the business. And, good for him, he made money, but I think it would show a lot for his character and people to get sympathy on him, and maybe for him to make more money in the long run if people liked him better if he started to do things like that, like put other people over. But again, I don't see Hogan ever doing that. I would love to be wrong. If you think he would, just comment down there and say I'm an idiot. I mean, and let me know why you think Hogan would ever put someone over. I'd love to hear it.
To be continued. All right, here's a good little topic right here. This is one I specifically dialed up because I don't know what we're all going to say on this. I mean, I know what I'm going to say. If we had to group these three people together, right, probably since Nia Jax is out injured, right, we can't count her in this group, but you'll know where I'm going with this. Corbin, King Corbin, okay? Shane McMahon. I don't even have to give you what I'm talking about. I'm just listing the names, and everybody should know. And even Brock Lesnar, okay? We're going to look at those three specifically. Robbie, I'm going to start with you. If you had to permanently not based on what the online wrestling community thinks, but based on what you think, you had to permanently get rid of one on TV, who would it be and why?
Shane McMahon. Right. I'd get rid of Shane McMahon, and I think he's a hell of a heel. Don't get me wrong. It's just Lesnar is a monster you could put a title on and have a babyface chase. I think there's money in that. I think there's good programs to come of that. And I think Baron Corbin, especially in this King gimmick where he looks like the King of the North from Game of Thrones, I think it's working for him. I think it's a good gimmick as well that they can make money on. Shane McMahon, I feel, at least at this point, I think he's run his course. He's about to put over somebody else and be on his way out. So I would get rid of Shane McMahon. And just for the sake of conversation, he has the worst punches in the world, and I just have to have that on every video we talk about Shane. So But that's my thoughts.
But I heard they really hurt. Isn't that weird? Ugly-looking punch, actually. It must be like a knuckle tap or something. Aaron Rift.
Well, I guess when he actually does connect, it might really hurt.
He's rapid firing them. Something hits. Yeah.
I mean, Rob said it perfectly. I really have nothing else to add to it. I would definitely go with Shane. I think he's run his course as a character, and he could always come back at some point. But just the whole heel boss character, I think, has gotten very stale. And like Robbie said, you can do a lot of matches with Lesnar still. And Corbin's great. I'm really happy about Corbin's current push. I think he's doing really well. So, yeah, I've got nothing else to add to it.
Of course, I got to swerve, but Big G, go first.
They took literally the words out of my mouth. The only thing else I can say is why Shane has been on TV so long, and I've said it before, Vince is living vicariously through Shane right now.
That's
Vince
a good point.
can't really be on TV right now as much. He can't take as many bumps as he did when he was younger. So I think he's living the life through Shane.
So this, to me, if I would have looked at this a few years ago or a couple years ago, I probably would have said Corbin. Okay, I would have never said Brock. No. There's a reason why Vince McMahon gives him all that money, whatever he makes annually, with 7-figure amount, to do limited appearances. There's a reason for that, because he still is the closest thing that shows up more than The Rock or Cena at this point that's got mainstream compatibility, right? People know who Brock Lesnar is, and if they hear that he might be on Raw or SmackDown, you might get 1 out of 10 people to tune in. That times that by thousands and hundreds of thousands, that brings some extra eyeballs. So I would have never said Brock. But yeah, it's a no-brainer with these three, Shane McMahon. But the problem is this. If Shane goes, Stephanie's going to come back. There's always going to be a McMahon on TV. I just have that feeling. Now, maybe we'll get lucky and all the McMahons will stay behind the scenes for once, right? I mean, until the kids get old enough. Rob, you know what I mean with that, right? But the grandchildren. But yeah, this is a no-brainer. I picked these three because on my Twitter feed, I see a lot of Corbin hate, a lot of Brock Lesnar hate, and a lot of Shane McMahon hate. I think our own Greg Cherry probably would disagree with us. I bet you I know he likes Corbin, so he'd pick him to stay. I think Greg would pick Shane to stay over Brock because he would use the old argument, well, at least Shane would be there every week. So, again, for us, it was a no-brainer, right? We all picked Shane, but I think there are some people out there that might pick Brock or Corbin, and that's why I mentioned it. I personally would throw someone else in the mix and say Kofi and keep Kofi off the TV for the rest of the year so he can come back right into the mid-card. But anyway, anyone want to add any extra thoughts after I gave my opinion?
Not
I'm interested
really.
to know what Greg Chair was going to say.
I did want to say about Brock, like, I am a bit tired of the whole shtick with him coming out with Paul Heyman. I would like to see him split from Heyman and go face, but beyond that, like, I still think there is value in having Lesnar around.
Yeah. Well, what do you think, NoDQ Galaxy? I mean, we are expecting a lot of Shane McMahon comments. Go away, leave. And this is setting up for this ladder match against Kevin Owens perfectly. But I wouldn't be surprised if we still get some Lesnar and Corbin haters. And in reality, you're still giving them attention, so kudos to all of them. And like Rob and I talked about on another video we did, Shane McMahon will always have a place in the wrestling business, living in his dad's shadow and being quite uniquely different from Vince in a lot of ways. But I know now that he's older, people don't want to see him anymore. But let's move on. I think it's time for our main event. What do you think, Big G?
I think it is time.
This is kind of bringing Austin back up again, and The Rock, right? We talked about, who the Fiend could do the mandible claw. But this is another thing I've been seeing on my social media. People are talking about dream matches, and I keep seeing Austin versus Cena. Somebody actually said The Rock should never come back. Cena owned him. Rock had to write scripts on his hand, whatever. But the big four got nostalgia pops over the last, 7 years. Is obviously The Rock, and I'm specifically referring to WWE. The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, Stone Cold Steve Austin, John Cena, and Undertaker. And Cena more recently because, he was a full-timer until he kind of started drifting to Hollywood. Whose appearances are the most impactful? And so we got to go back a little ways, count The Rock's appearances, right, when he did the stuff with Cena, count Cena coming back. Out of those four, I'm just curious on what everybody thinks. Big G, go.
Man.
Big names.
Yeah, over the past, 7 years or so?
Those are the biggest nostalgia pops I could think of. If you have another one you want to add in there, indulge me. But those are the biggest draws.
All four of them are right up there. But if I had to pick one, I'd have to go with The Rock, I think.
And now you're going to have to explain why.
Oh, man.
You're picking a movie star. Come on.
Well, I don't know. It's
the biggest movie star in Hollywood, might I add.
Yeah. When he does come back, he does get, a very big pop. All of them do, but I think The Rock is the biggest name out there. Like you said, the Hollywood, I don't think if he does decide to come back, I don't think he does. He's making millions and millions of dollars for these movies. I think he was named the number one actor in the world in the Forbes magazine. He did his stuff with Cena back in 2011 when he came back, and he was already a big enough movie star back then as well.
But it's not about if he's coming back. It's when they do come back, who is the most impactful. So, I take it you're going with The Rock.
Yeah. Okay. Like I said, they're all up there. They all get big pops.
Yeah.
When they come back, So it's kind of... Undertaker, he's getting up there in age too. So, but when he comes back, or when he does show up, he still gets a big pop. I think, screw it. They're all up there on the list for me. They all get big pops.
All four of them. So you're not going to put one over any of the other ones.
I think they, people know who they are.
Yeah.
You put Austin up versus Kofi Kingston. Austin's going to get the bigger pop over.
Well,
Kofi.
I know the NoDQ Galaxy is going to rank these in the comments 1 through 4. Yeah. So maybe you'll have to go read what they think.
Yeah.
Robbie Vice, you got to have one that you really just feel. I guess in today's wrestling bubble. What's the, you know what I mean? Go ahead, man.
So you ready for this one? It's John Cena. It's John Cena. Because out of all the people you listed, he's the only one who could really make another run of the company. And he can go for Flair's record. So I think him coming back to a big program for that big win to tie or beat Ric Flair. I think is he tied with him right now?
Yep.
Yeah, he's tied with him.
I think he's tied with him. So if he gets one more title chance, I think that brings more eyes than any of the other guys because it's the most believable, it's the longest program, and they can make the most money with it. Also, if you look at some of the younger fans, he's probably the freshest in the minds because these guys saw videos of Stone Cold Steve Austin. They saw videos of The Undertaker. Okay, nothing to take away from them. They see Rock as the Tooth Fairy in the movie theaters. But when they look at wrestling, they have to see guys like John Cena, and that's the most fresh thing in their mind. So I think John Cena is the most impactful person when he comes back because now they don't boo him as much. Now he has their respect because what does it say? Distance or whatever makes the heart grow fonder, whatever the hell that saying is. John Cena's been gone for a little bit now. And I think if he came back and started going for that title, especially if he somehow went for Kofi's title, that would be a huge momentum shift for him. And I think he would bring the most money.
Now, Rob,
yeah.
Since you brought that up, we never got the Cena heel run. If he did, you know how The Rock, when he came back from Hollywood, he had that run and he with the guitar and stuff. I mean, he was heel.
Oh, yeah.
Would they? I mean, you see what I'm saying? I get excited for this stuff, but it never happened.
Hollywood Cena would be great. Especially, I would rather see, and I would actually like your guys' opinion, I would rather see a heel Cena break Flair's record so he could be cocky about it and go that route than a face Cena. I don't know if Vince will ever go that route, but maybe since he's not around as much anymore and they have Roman Reigns, I know Aaron's probably heard this 10,000 times over the past 5 years on his channel, but maybe it's finally time for a Cena heel run. What do you guys think?
Man, well, it is. It's been. I mean, we're not going to get Roman. We never got Cena. So now that Cena's off doing his own thing, now's the perfect time. Aaron Rift. I'm interested to hear what you have to say.
Well, I think it's too late for a Cena heel turn, unfortunately. Now, are we talking past tense or future tense as far as who would be the most impactful?
Like the now. Like the bubble of wrestling right now.
So Undertaker's already made a bunch of appearances. So when he comes back, it really doesn't make that much of an impact. And
Good point.
I think there's one match Undertaker can do that I think would be a huge box office hit, and that's versus Bray Wyatt. John Cena, same thing. You could do him versus Bray Wyatt. I think that would be a pretty big box office match. I'm trying to look at each guy and what would be their biggest match that they could do. What's the biggest match that Steve Austin could do? I mean, I would have liked to have seen Austin versus CM Punk. Punk is a name that nobody brought up. I think if he came back, that would be very impactful. So CM Punk would be at the top of the list. But ultimately, I got to go with The Rock because of what Big G said. He's got the mainstream value, and there's still one really big match The Rock could do, maybe a couple, but Rock versus Roman Reigns, I think, would be a huge box office match. And if Bray Wyatt stays hot enough, Rock versus Bray Wyatt, I don't think you can get much bigger than that. So when I think of potential box office, I think The Rock's got to be the guy. But CM Punk would be right up there too.
I love your addition of CM Punk, and it's like we're at the point now. We've just been talking about it, and it's like I omit him because it's like we'll believe it when we see it. But Aaron, great addition there. John Cena is trying to get more mainstream appeal, right? He's trying to do the Hollywood thing like The Rock, but he's not quite there yet. I know he does other things too. Austin, he's the rednecks like him, the Attitude Era people like him, but he's still in that WWE bubble. Undertaker's very much in that WWE bubble. I know casual fans probably know who the Undertaker is, but what it comes down to, what it boils down to, and when I heard somebody on the internet say The Rock disappointed in the Cena feuds when he got caught with the stuff, writing the stuff, reading off of his palm or wrist or arm. Dude, it doesn't matter. Like The Rock would say, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He is the biggest box office draw in the world. And wrestling is now down to a 2 to 3 million niche fan base. Out of all four of these and CM Punk, the one that spreads the eyeballs beyond the wrestling bubble the most is The Rock, right? I never thought he would become this big of a movie star. He is literally today's generation Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone, Tom Cruise. I'm not saying his movies are the greatest, but I mean, he almost made Jumanji $1 billion worldwide. Like, think about that. And his failure, you know, the Fast and the Furious is due $1 billion worldwide. Now, granted, that's always had traction. His poor movies still do 300,000, 500,000. Dude, The Rock, case closed. I love all these guys, but you want to bring somebody. But then again, can they afford them? I'm sure every appearance is $1 million for this guy. But it's The Rock, The Rock, The Rock. I want to see what the NoDQ Galaxy thinks in the comments, because I am very, very curious on this one. I want to see a lot of rocks up there, number one. But I like Big G. I know you said The Rock, or you couldn't really decide. Aaron, you said The Rock. And you know what? Robbie, I respect you saying John Cena. I totally get that. Gosh, I wonder what you guys think. Let us know. But that's all I got for this week. Short review. Let's take it home.
There is one other topic we could bring up real quick, and that's the announcer change. WWE shifting the announcers next week. So maybe we could get everybody's thoughts on the changes. Good, bad, indifferent. Like, you guys want to talk about it real quick?
Yeah, who the hell's on Raw now? I'm
going to let you guys talk on this one, because like Robbie usually tells me, let me see how this unfolds on TV first. I saw the teams like Tom Phillips. I know nobody's upset about him not being on TV. Did the NXT one stay the same, it looks like?
Yes. Hold on.
So,
I'm putting up the list now. Hold on.
I'll probably comment after I see these crews in action, but I feel it's still going to be most of the same.
Yeah, I agree with that. The thing that I find most interesting, maybe a sign that SmackDown is going to be the A show now, is that Michael Cole and Corey Graves are moving over there.
All right. So Vic Joseph, Dio Madden, and Jerry Lawler will be on Raw.
And see Lawler back? Like, I kind of don't hate that.
It says Michael Cole, Corey Graves, and Ray Young will be moving to Friday Night SmackDown.
Yeah, I mean, ooh.
And NXT stays the same. I think NXT has the best announcers, followed by SmackDown, and Raw is to be determined, because I don't know how that team will turn out. Hopefully it's good.
And Fox announced, or FS1 they're doing that show on Saturday nights or something like that.
Now, is 205 Live, this is for you, Noah. Is that still going to be a thing?
Apparently it's going to be on Fridays after
on the network, so they're going to probably have their normal little couple people who do that. Wasn't it Vic Joseph?
Yeah.
So he'll probably have to still travel twice. But yeah, anyway, I want to see these people in action. I feel it's going to be more of the same, right? I mean, but I'm not sad that Tom Phillips is off the. Who else is off? Was it just Tom Phillips?
Byron Saxton.
Byron Saxton.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's sad that those people are off.
They might be going back to like backstage roles, doing interviews or whatnot. Or
why? We want more Charlie Caruso and the other girl. We want the ladies are for that. So, anyway, NoDQ Galaxy, what do you think? That's what the comments are for below. Let's take it home, though, Big G. I'm going to start with you. I see your Steelers are 0-3.
Yeah. So NoDQ.com/Big G takes you to my Twitter page. You can follow me there. NoDQ_Big G on Instagram. Jeff Phillips on Facebook. NoDQ.com/merch. And you can go there, get the new t-shirts, whatnot. You still can go to Pro Wrestling Tees and type in NoDQ and get the old school, Virtue's Rage right there, upside down, NoDQ.com. That's it for me. Robbie, your plugs.
Okay, before I do my plug, I actually have a little bit of a bone to pick with Mr. Rift on one topic. Oh. You always bury EC3, but tell me over the last 3 months, what wrestler has been put in more super chats for questions to you than EC3?
Nobody.
That's right, because he is over. That's all I want to say. Anyways, guys, you guys can follow me on Twitter at NoDQVice. Leave a comment down below. Give me a follow. Let me know, am I the smartest guy in the room, or am I just an idiot who doesn't know what he's talking about? I would love to interact with you. I try to respond to your comments best I can. Please be nice to EC3. The dude is more over than a lot of people. Keep sending those super chats, though. I know I like to read them.
Is that TJ Asinall's fake accounts on YouTube, though?
Yes, he's on assignment on EC3 duty, so.
Aaron Rift.
Wow. Well, I always say poor EC3. I mean, I feel bad for the guy, so I'm not saying he's less over. I just get all those super chats. But hey, you make a good point. People super chat about him so much, so
he needs to be in some one of your awards, man.
Yeah, most underutilized maybe. We'll see how that goes down. But anyways, stay tuned to NoDQ.com. Next week's going to be crazy. make sure you subscribe to the channel. Click on that notification button to get the updates as they become available, and give us some feedback. Like, what do you want to see from the NoDQ review moving forward? Any ideas for new topics or ways we could tweak the videos or change things up a little bit? Let us know what you think. Leave a comment, and that's all I got. Virtue, let's go ahead and wrap it up.
We got to battle that YouTube algorithm first. But anyway, thanks to the whole NoDQ galaxy who faithfully watches and comments and thumbs up these videos. You know what? And thank you for the few that thumbs down too, because I know you do it for a reason. But that's all I got. I'm NoDQ Virtue. You can follow me on Twitter at NoDQ_Virtue. You can go see my Facebook page, nodq.com/virtue. The merch, the Troll Slayer merch is on nodq.com/merch. But that's pretty much it. So for Big G, for Robbie Vice, for the boss man Aaron Rift, I am Virtue. See you next week.